Hello, kindred spirits. I am Donna Gaudette, and I want to welcome you to another soul filled conversation here on Healing Our Kindred Spirits. Today, we're stepping into what I call the season of grace. It's a time in our lives when the mirror looks back at us a little differently and our hearts begin to crave something deeper. It's a season not about striving, but softening, not about proving, but becoming. In these wisdom years, we begin to let go of the noise and hold close what truly matters. Meaningful connections, quiet mornings, laughter that lingers, and grace for ourselves most of all. Because this chapter of life isn't about endings. It's about intention, reflection, and learning to see the beauty in simplicity. It's about remembering that we still hold the pen and we can write these final chapters with wisdom, love, light, and authenticity. So today we're going to sit together in a space of honesty and reflection as we talk about something many of us think about, what it feels like to step into the later chapters of our lives. This is a stage where the mirror looks back at us a little differently, where our days are sometimes slower, but our thoughts are deeper. It's a chapter that brings it questions, reflections, and maybe even regrets. But it's also a chapter that offers us something beautiful, the chance to write with wisdom, intention, and clarity. Let's get started. When we reach our 50s, 60s, 70s, or even 80s, there's often a pause where we look back over our lives, like we're flipping through pages of a well worn book. We think about the choices we made, the roads we took, and the ones we didn't. Some pages bring us joy, others might carry heartache or a whisper of what could have been. It's natural to reflect, but here's something I want you to hold on to. We don't have to live in the shadow of regret. Instead, we can gather up all those experiences, the good, the difficult, the in between, and recognize them as our teachers. They have shaped us into who we are today. They gave us the wisdom we now carry. So at this point in life, many of us begin to crave something different. I know I do, and I have for a while. It's no longer about adding more to our calendars, our closets, or even our resumes. It's about creating space for quality, for meaning, and maybe even connection. I have always felt that it is never too late for connection. And connection can mean many things to many different people. I am not a big social person per se, but I do enjoy connection with people that I feel a soul connection with. And I like to think of this season that we're in right now. I like to think of this as the season of grace. It's a time when we allow ourselves to soften into who we are becoming, maybe release the need to prove, to strive, or even the race that we've been in most of our lives. Grace means that we can extend kindness not only to others, but finally to ourselves. Many of us, myself included, have not even considered our own lives when we think about extended grace. And in all honesty, don't you think we have earned that with everything we have been through in life? Whether your life had no bumps in the road and smooth sailing, or you had to handle one crisis after another. That's been my life. But when we allow ourselves some grace, it's a way of acknowledging that maybe I've been through a lot, but I also have learned a lot as well. And that everything that I have gone through has made me who I am today. In our younger years, so much of life is about more doing, more achieving, more proving. But as we move into these wisdom years, something shifts inside of us. We start craving less chaos, less clutter, less noise. And in that space, we begin to value more quality, more meaningful conversations, more time spent with people who truly see us, more mornings that begin with peace instead of pressure. We start noticing how beautiful it is to slow down, to savor a sunrise or a sunset, or even look at the moon, as I often love to do. Enjoy a quiet cup of coffee or tea, or call someone who simply cares. Be with someone who simply cares about you. That's when the deeper truth reveals itself, because it's the things that bring us joy now aren't the things that cost the most. They're the things that mean the most. We often wonder why, when we get to this stage of life, why did it take so long for us to see that the simplicity of life was right in front of us? But you know what? Life complicates it. But there is a reward to allowing ourselves to see this season of grace. So stepping into this season might look like letting go of old grudges. Maybe old grudges have weighed you down. As you know, forgiveness isn't about forgiving the other person. It's not always about forgiving them. It's about the act of forgiving so we can move forward. Maybe that other person is going on with their life and it just doesn't bother them that you're holding this grudge, but it has stopped you in your life. Maybe it's a time to let that go. We choose rest without guilt, knowing it's a gift and not laziness. We allow ourselves to say no without apology and yes, only when it feels right. This was a tough one for me. We lean into the joy of simple things, a warm meal, laughter around a table, or the peace of even watching the sunset, sunrise, or even the moon. Simple things we took for granted or didn't allow ourselves time to enjoy is something that we can put forward now. This season of grace is not about endings. It's about living with intention and savoring the richness of the present moment. So, one way to embrace this new season is through something I like to call a comfort journal. I started doing this late last year. A comfort journal is a safe personal space where you can pour out your thoughts, your feelings, your reflections. It's not about perfect handwriting or polished words or even maybe complete sentences. It's about creating a sanctuary on paper. That thought comes in your head, you write it down. In it, you can jot down the small daily comforts. Maybe it's about the way the light came in through your window that morning, or the laughter you shared with a friend, or even a way a favorite song maybe brought you some peace. Or it's maybe something that you finally were able to release on your own. You can use it to release worries, to capture gratitude, write down a prayer or an affirmation that carries you through a challenging time. I am big with affirmations, and mine have a lot of affirmations. And over time, this journal becomes a trusted companion, one you can return to when you need to remind yourself maybe of joy, of beauty, and of the grace that lives in ordinary moments where we have that time now to enjoy and embrace those ordinary moments. It's a way of grounding ourselves, of reflecting on our wisdom years with tenderness, with clarity, and even with grace. Something else shifts in these years. It's the way we connect with others. Many of us have finished raising our families. Our children may be grown. Some of us are grandparents, and some of us may live alone for the first time in decades. And now we finally have time to ask, what do I want for me? These connections, whether with old friends, new companions, or even strangers who become kindred spirits, all of that becomes precious. The relationships we nurture in this season often feel deeper, more intentional, and more fulfilling. We don't have time to waste on small talk or shallow bonds. And I'm guilty of that. I'm not big on small talk. It gives me anxiety. I know sometimes it's necessary, and I get that. But instead, we tend to long for authenticity, for people who see us as we are and who value the story we bring. I call this the wisdom years or the season of grace because wisdom is the gift of every step we've taken along the way. Everything we have gone through, everything we have learned, everything that we have been through, that's wisdom. We've walked through storms, we've celebrated victories, we've stumbled and we've risen again. And through all of it, we have learned. We have learned that wisdom isn't just for us. It's a gift we can pass on. Maybe it's mentoring a younger person. Maybe it's sharing family stories. Maybe it's writing, teaching, volunteering, or simply being present when someone needs guidance. We don't always realize how powerful our lived experiences are, but trust me, someone out there is waiting for the very wisdom you hold in your heart. And by the time we reach this point in our lives, we've lived through so many seasons. We have loved and lost. We have failure and triumph, heartbreak and healing. every scar, every story, every I didn't think I could do it, but I did moment. They've all shaped us into living libraries of wisdom. And the beautiful thing about wisdom is that it's not meant to be hoarded. It's meant to be shared. Maybe your story helps someone else who's walking through something similar. Maybe your courage gives someone else permission to start again. Maybe your honesty reminds another soul that they're not alone. When you can use your story to make someone else feel better about what they're going through, they're going to remember that. I once read that you can teach, when I was teaching, you can teach a lesson, you can put PowerPoint up on the board, but when you can relate a personal experience to that lesson, people will remember. Maybe your courage gives someone else permission to start again. Maybe your honesty reminds another soul that they're not alone. That's what the wisdom years are about. Using what we've learned not only to make peace with our past, but to become a light for others still finding their way. So, how do we navigate this new life era? I think it begins with allowing ourselves to be curious again. Just because we're older doesn't mean we're done dreaming. Maybe this is the time to pick up that paintbrush that you set aside. Maybe write that book you always thought about. What about traveling or plant a garden or sit under the stars and finally give yourself permission to wonder? It's about listening to our bodies and our spirits, to slow down when we need to and to embrace rest as a gift, and also to lean into joy whenever it calls. And sometimes it's about capturing those moments of joy in your comfort journal so you don't forget just how much beauty still surrounds you. And personally, I have been called to writing again. As a child with so much undiagnosed anxiety and being raised with 5 younger brothers, writing and reading were both my salvation. They saved my life. I could write poetry, short stories, anything. The creative mind was always on, and writing was the only way to release those thoughts. Over my adult life, I wrote many things, but I still feel I have that elusive book to write. It already lives in my mind, and I have made a promise to myself that in 2026, I will write it and I will publish it. It's like if you have a bucket list and before you know it, you're 62 years old and half the things you wanted to do have not been done. And you realize that you're in maybe the final chapters of your life, and those chapters can be 10, 20, 30 years. There's no time frame, there's no time reference. But does this sound familiar? What unfinished things or dreams from your life are you holding on to? What would be the catalyst to help you achieve those things? I want to remind you that you are never too old and it's never too late. So get going. And I mentioned earlier about making connections. One of the greatest gifts of this stage of life is the opportunity to create new kinds of connections. And with the prominence of social media and digital ways to connect with people, it's unlimited. We don't have to leave our house. We don't have to leave our home. We don't even have to get dressed to feel connected to other people. We've learned to recognize authenticity. The friends who listen with their hearts, not just with their ears. And it's rare that we have the same friend or group of friends we grew up with. Not impossible, but it's rare today. And I think with the creation of social media, we are more able to stay connected with childhood friends, school friends than ever before. I am still friends with people I went to first grade with, and that was a very, very long time ago because I am going to be 62 years old. So it's there. It's been a long time. And we may not see each other, but we do connect through social media. And I'm also still friends with neighborhood kids where I grew up. So never underestimate those kinds of valuable connections as we get into the grace years. And again, with age comes wisdom. We no longer feel the need to be in every circle or please every person. I gave up a long time ago trying to be liked, trying to please everybody, trying to fit into a mold that someone said I should fit into. I am so done with that, and you should be too, because we're drawn to instead to genuine connection. We're drawn to things that nourish our spirit. I don't know about you, but small talk is something that I try to avoid. I want to talk about the big things, to talk about what makes you, you. Let's talk about the heavy stuff and everything in between. Let's have those hard conversations. Let's have those inspiring conversations. Maybe we find community through volunteering, storytelling, art, or maybe even through spiritual circles. Maybe we reconnect with old friends or meet new kindred spirits who show up just when we need them most. At this stage, connection isn't about quantity, it's about soul resonance. It's about finding people who remind us of who we really are and who we're still becoming. So, how do we redefine this purpose? What comes next? Purpose looks different now, doesn't it? Maybe from our 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. Our purpose changes and evolves over time. I don't know about you, but many times in my life, I would look up to the heavens and say, why am I here? What is my purpose? What am I supposed to do with this? I've always felt like I have never fit in. I've always felt like I was just dropped here with no instruction manual. I just had to wing it. And I did. In our earlier years, purpose often revolved around achievement. We built our careers, we raised our families, we created stability. But checking things off our to do list, who am I kidding? I still have to do lists. We're still checking things off no matter what. But in this second act, purpose becomes more personal, more heart driven. Maybe it's writing that book you've always dreamed of. Maybe it's mentoring a younger generation. Maybe rescuing animals or creating art just for the joy of it. Maybe it's simply learning how to be present, to enjoy life as it is, not as we once thought it should be. This new chapter can be exciting, and it asks us not what we want to do, but who we want to be. So I ask you, who do you want to be? Who do you want to become? And we all know we want to live with peace. We want to live with curiosity. We want to live with gratitude. So every day becomes an invitation to live aligned with what truly matters. And the topic that comes to mind, and maybe you felt this way too, we're gonna talk about it for a little bit. It's the legacy and the fear of being forgotten. And woven into all of this is a truth. As we age, we sometimes wonder about the legacy we'll leave behind. Is this something that you think about? We wonder, will our lives matter? Will the people we love remember us? Will our stories be told when we're gone? I have to say that I have struggled with this for many, many years. In therapy, we have talked about why I worry so much about being forgotten. And I think it's the realization that generations today don't have the same connections we had with our family growing up. We had Sunday dinners at our grandparents. We had sleepovers with our grandparents, camping trips, spending time with numerous cousins. We had all of that because we didn't have the distractions of technology and social media. I'm not putting it down, but it's a fact that unless we leave some digital trail behind, our families may not remember us as we remember our extended family. And I think it's because our generation, like I said, I'm 62. Our family was so our families, our parents prioritized family time. They prioritized making sure that we visited family, that we had connections with them. And I think that's lacking today. And maybe it's because everyone is so busy making a living that they're kind of neglecting making a life. But these thoughts about being forgotten and legacy can bring both comfort and fear. The fear of being forgotten is real, but legacy isn't just about our names living on in history. It's about the impact we leave on hearts. It's the kindness we've showed, the lessons we shared, the love we gave freely. When someone laughs at a memory of us or repeats advice we once offered, it feels comforting for me because it's something that we taught them, and that's legacy. And I see that with my grandchildren when they parrot back something that I've said to them, or a memory or a lesson, and it makes me feel alive knowing that they're going to take that into their life. But you know what? It ripples far longer than we might ever know because we don't know when they're going to be able to pick up that lesson or that memory and apply it to their own life. And one thing that can become part of that legacy is a comfort journal. And that's something your children or grandchildren may one day hold in their hands and read. learning not only your story, but the way you saw beauty in the world, the way you handled things in the world. And I think generations today may not be as invested in worrying about being forgotten because, for a moment, think about it. Think about social media and how long things will stay in that digital world. When I started this podcast, it was for the reasons of connecting, sharing, empowering you to live a more joy-filled life as we go through these often painful human experiences. But it also serves another purpose. And admittedly, maybe one a little self-serving. You see, I fear endlessly about being forgotten by my friends and my family. I didn't do extraordinary things in my life that would give me notoriety, at least not yet. So when I thought for years about creating this podcast and finally having the courage to do it, I thought about this blueprint, this audio legacy I could leave for my grandkids when I'm no longer here in the physical world. And it's going to happen. It's a fact of life. Someday, my grandkids may need advice or wish grandma, or as they call me, Nini, Nini, as that's their name for me, as if I was here to ask about something. I wanted this podcast to be a roadmap for them and maybe even future generations to hear my stories, to hear my voice and know that even though I'm not talking with the, even though I am talking with all of you, I am also talking with them and to them as well. Does that make sense? I told you it was a little self-serving, but I have poured my heart and soul into this podcast because I care. I care about you. I care about our country, the people in it, my friends, family, and I care about what I leave behind. Not about a carbon footprint, but a legacy of something that someone may find useful someday. So yeah, I worry about being forgotten. It's something that I'm working through. And my brother, he teases me about it and reminds me that in just 2 generations we will not be thought of or remembered. I'm okay with that. My soul still called on me to do this. In all honesty, I think knowing this gave me the courage and confidence to finally do a podcast. And now you can't get rid of me. And maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. It's still debatable. So now let's talk about the heart of today's message. How can we make this last chapter, the season of grace, the best chapter? We do it by choosing presence over perfection, by savoring the small moments, by staying open to love, laughter, new beginnings, by letting go of bitterness and carrying only what brings light to our days. We do it by remembering that this chapter isn't about fading away. It's about shining with the fullness of who we've become. Celebrate your life. When we think about making the last chapters of our life our best, it doesn't mean ignoring the pain or pretending the past didn't happen. Many of us have many painful things in our past that we either want to forget or we don't want to revisit. But it also means learning how to hold both the sorrow and the sweetness with equal grace. It means embracing simplicity and stillness. It means forgiving ourselves for what we didn't know back then and loving who we are becoming now. It also means giving ourselves permission to find joy again, even after heartbreak, even after loss, even after grief. The last chapters of our life can be the most beautiful because they're written with full awareness. No more pretending, no more masks, no more racing, just living. Fully, intentionally, authentically, and truthfully. These are the years to say what we mean, to live with softness, to create memories that reflect who we've become, not who we were expected to be. And most of all, we do it by giving ourselves permission to keep writing one page at a time with courage, with wisdom, and most of all, with grace. So, kindred spirits, if you find yourself reflecting on the past, remember that it has shaped you, but it does not define your future. You still hold the pen. You can still choose joy, connection, purpose, change, and love in these wisdom years in the season of grace. Perhaps even begin a comfort journal to capture the small graces in your everyday life, because those small things become the thread that weaves together a life of meaning. Don't just wait for the end of the book. Live these chapters so fully that when we close it, we can smile knowing that we made it beautiful and that the legacy we leave behind will live on in the hearts we've touched. So, as we close today's episode, I invite you to take a quiet moment and ask yourself, what do I want my second act to feel like? What do beautiful final chapters mean to me? It might be peace, it might be purpose, it might be laughter and long afternoons with the people that you love. Whatever it is, let it be yours, because this right here, right now, is your time to live not out of obligation, but out of intention. You have earned your wisdom. You have walked through fire and come out shining. You have nothing left to prove, only everything left to experience. So may we step into this new era, the wisdom years, the second act, this season of grace, with open hearts, unshakable faith in ourselves, and the quiet knowing that the best truly can be yet to come. So thank you, kindred spirits, for sharing this space with me today. And be sure to find us on Facebook and join our private group page or our public page. I post often. I have also created some beautiful journal prompts, and I'll put them on our Facebook page. But again, if you would like me to email your printable version, please email me at healingourkindredspirits@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you, and please be sure to check out our companion original guided meditation with the same theme and name of this episode. So I hope today's episode reminds you of your worth, your wisdom, and even your possibility. So until next time, be gentle with yourself, cherish your connections, and most of all, keep shining your light. And I will always remind you that you are never too much, and you are always, always enough. Namaste.